over to Ben now, who's going to talk about his love of guns.
Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm from working at a company called Infogr8. We're a data-led visual agency, which basically means we do a lot of cool stuff with data. But yeah, we're obviously living in an age where there's so much data available to us and so many opportunities to visualise it and understand it better. And both from companies that want to understand our habits, but also from data that we're generating, and so that will allow us to understand ourselves better. Throughout the MA, what I was doing, I was looking at my life at that time and recording various aspects like the number of calories I was consuming, number of steps and amount of sleep I was getting. And each one focused on one very specific topic. But then I was curious, how can we sort of compare, how combine different areas and sort of see if there's any trends that sort of exist when you compare them. So this was, most of my work looked at periods like 5, 6 weeks, up to a couple of years when I started looking at some bank account activity. But this was an attempt to visualise my life to date and my 27 years of existence at that point. So yeah, reading from the inside out, you can see in the blue ring where I was living at the time, and then also what car I was driving, and my interests. The sports are in green, so I'm not a very sporty person, so there's not an awful lot on there. Purple shows my education and where I was studying at that time. And then in the blue and the yellow, attempting to show how happy that I evaluate that I was at that point at various times. So with yellow being times when I felt very happy with things, and then blue being a little bit unhappier with certain situations. And you can cross-reference there's a blue bit like where 7 o'clock is. That's when I was doing my A-levels. Wasn't happy doing A-levels, and then very happy when that ended. You can also see right on the left there in the red, I was actually working part-time at Tesco for quite a few years, and luckily I managed to save up all the pay slips over the years. So each one of those lines is a 4-week period and how many hours I was working at that point. So you can see, I think, during my early studies, doing about 15 hours a week, and then after leaving university, sort of ramping it up to full-time, but then getting miserable at the same sort of time, so that's why I went back to do the MA. Yeah, and things got a lot happier from there. So yeah, I was really interested in how you can show multiple stories in one visualisation, and not guide the viewer to read it in any particular way, but you can explore it and sort of pull out information that you find yourselves. Yeah, this is quite a complex piece, and this is the guns piece, which was mentioned a little bit earlier. What I was curious was, does the amount of guns owned per country correlate at all with the number of homicides that are occurring? And so on the left-hand side, we've got the number of guns per 100 people in various countries, and then at the top, you can see that the United States comes out with I think it's 90 guns per 100 people. So yeah, that's quite a lot, even when compared to the second country. And I think there's a lot of Western European countries in the high end of that as well. And then on the other side, sort of flipping it, so how do those countries compare when we look at the number of homicides per 100,000 people? And what was interesting to me was that although there are lots of countries where guns are very popular, those tend to be the often the safest countries. But it's often the countries in Africa and also the Caribbean and South America that have often the fewest guns, where there's more homicides. And it's not a clear-cut trend. There's countries that don't sort of abide by that rules. But what was interesting to me was that having all information presented here allows you to explore it deeply and to find trends that are interesting to you.